Hello, everyone, all of my scholars and all of my parents. Hopefully you all are having a great day so far. Today, we're going to jump back into another review. We're going to jump back into another review. Yesterday, you all had a review lesson on subtracting mixed numbers. And today, we're going to go back and even revisit something else. Converting improper fractions to mixed numbers. Today, we're going to go and revisit the concept and the idea of converting improper fractions to a mixed number. So I'm going to be doing 3 examples for you all today, again, giving you specific instructions and directions and a physical example of how to convert improper fractions to a mixed number. So let me share my screen and so we can begin. So scholars, welcome back. Parents, here we go. Hopefully this will be very helpful for everyone so that you all be able to convert these mixed number fractions. So starting with our first example, my first example I'm going to write here. I'm going to make sure it is in black so you all can clearly physically see, is 44 eighths. Now, I'm sure my scholars know that this is a what type of fraction? This is an improper fraction. This is an improper fraction because the numerator is greater than the denominator. If my numerator is greater than or larger than my denominator, that makes it improper. And in fractions, we do not like improper fractions. We want all of our fractions to be proper. Yes? So in order to make an improper fraction considered a proper fraction, we have to convert it into a mixed number. And from the last video from yesterday, if you remember, a mixed number is a number that is consisted of a whole number and and a proper fraction. Yes, a mixed number is a number that is consisted of a whole number and a proper fraction. So let's walk through the steps of how to convert this improper fraction of 44 eighths into a mixed number. My first step is when I'm looking at fractions, fractions remind me to do 2 things. It reminds me that I'm looking at a small piece of a whole, and it lets me know that my problem is going to be considered a division problem. So when I am thinking about fractions in this capacity, fractions let me know that it's going to be a division problem. I'm going to be doing division. Yes, I'm going to be doing division. So first, I'm going to divide. I'm going to make my division house. Now, my scholars, we have practiced and practiced and practiced this idea. Before we even ask that question, I'm going to first label in a text my parts of my fraction. So I know that this part right here is my numerator. Sorry. This is my numerator. And this part right here is my denominator. And I'm going to make this box a little smaller. So it's not taking up too much space. There we go. And so I know that, and I'm also going to erase this division house for just a second. So I just labeled my parts of my improper fraction. My numerator is on the top, my denominator is on the bottom. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to draw my division house. Yes, I'm going to draw my division house. And I'm going to go back one more time just so I'm going to make one thing a little more different for you all. Give me 1 second. I want to color coordinate my parts of my fraction so that everybody can clearly have a clear representation on what each part is. So my numerator is now in green. My denominator is now in burgundy red. Yes. So now I have my division house. So inside my house, what goes inside my house, scholars? And I want you to be able to share this physically and verbally with your parents. What goes in the inside of my division house? My numerator. My numerator. And let me make sure this is green. My numerator. My numerator goes inside my house. Yes. And then what goes outside my house? My denominator. And this is going to look a little weird. So just give me 1 second to space everything out. I'm going to move. I'm also going to move this in. There we go. My denominator goes outside, my numerator goes inside. So now let me physically draw this out. My numerator is 44. And my denominator is 8. And now this looks like a standard division problem. And so now, if I know how to divide the song and the rhythmic pattern that Ms. Holmes taught you all, put it on the, or divide, put it on the top, multiply on the top, subtract, bring down, repeat, A, repeat, A. We're gonna follow all those steps. But before I do that, I have to figure out what goes on the top. In order for me to find out what goes on the top, I have to first, if I know my multiplication facts, it's gonna come to me. But if I don't, it's okay. I'm gonna write them out. I know 8 times 1. I know 8 times 2, and so on and so on. I'm just gonna list out the answers, but I'm also gonna say the equation. So 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 3 is 24, 8 times 4 is 32, 8 times 5 is 40, is 40, and then 8 times 6 is 48. I need to know which factor of 8 or which multiple of 8 gets me closest to 44 without going over. I have to think about which multiple of 8 gets me closest to 44 without going over. And that is 40. And the factors of that is 8 times 5 equals 40. So 5 is going to go at the top. And I'm actually going to write this 5 in a different color, and you will understand why in just a second. I'm going to use blue. So I'll put it on the top. Now I'm going to multiply on the top. 5 times 8 is 40. I put it on the top, multiply on the top, subtract. I'm going to subtract. 44 minus 40 is 4. And I am done. I'm going to leave it like this. Now, scholars, this should now be a mental picture in more clarity of how we're doing what we're doing. So now we're going to go back and I'm going to relabel some things because I know that in order to make a mixed number, I have to have a whole number, a numerator, and a denominator. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to label now my parts. Keep in mind my numerator is now still on the inside, which is now 4. So this is my numerator. Yes, this is now my numerator. My denominator will still remain the same. My denominator will still remain the same. I'm going to label my 8 as my denominator. And now my 5 at the top is now my new whole number. My whole number. And so now I have all of my parts to make a mixed number. So now my new mixed number is 5. My numerator, or make sure it's in green, is 4. Make my fraction bar in black. And my denominator is 8. 5 and 4/8 is my answer. That is my answer. 5 and 4/8. I just converted an improper fraction into a mixed number. Now, for those scholars who remembers making fractions and changing them to simpler form just means I'm just going to reduce my fraction. So which is, I'm going to look at my fraction, I'm going to look at which factor does my numerator and denominator both share. So in this case, the answer is 2. They share a factor of 2. So I'm going to divide. 4 divided by 2 is 2. I'm sorry. Ooh. They both share the same factor of 4. I'm sorry. Of 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. I make my division bar. My fraction bar. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And my whole number will stay the same. So my reduced answer, or in simplest form, is 5 1/2. Both answers are correct. Both answers are correct. I will accept both answers. However, scholars, I really would like for you to try to reduce the fractions. But if that's something that you are not comfortable with yet, you can just remain and leaving it as the original problem that you get. So 44/8 as a mixed number is 5 and 4/8, which is the same as saying 5 1/2. Yes. Awesome. I'm going to clear my screen, and I'm also going to clear my screen, and then we're going to do 2 more examples. And I'm going to try to keep as much of the text labels as I can. So just give me a couple seconds so I can erase some of the work. Almost done. Trying to keep as much as I can. Awesome. So my next problem that I'm going to do for you all, excuse me, sorry. That I'm going to do for you all is 58 oops, is 58 ninths. 58 ninths. 58 is now my numerator, and my denominator is now 9. Remember, when I'm thinking of fractions and I'm thinking of converting, I'm thinking of division. Fractions equals division. When we're setting up our division house and our division problem, remember my numerator goes where? On the inside of my house, and my denominator goes where? On the outside of my house. You got this. So let me fill in my numbers. My numerator, I'm going to make it in green, which is 58. And my denominator, which is I'm going to make burgundy, is 9. My numerator goes on the inside. My denominator goes on the outside. Switching my color. So now I'm going to go back and reviewing my steps for divide. To divide, I have to put it on the top, multiply on the top, subtract, bring down. Those are my steps I'm about to do. But before I can just put it on the top, I have to figure out what multiple gets me close, what multiple of 9 gets me closest to 38. Gets me closest to 58 without going over 58. It has to get me the closest without going over. If you know your multiplication facts, you should know this quickly. But if not, that's okay. I'm going to write it out. I'm not going to write the equation, but I am going to write out my multiples of 9. So my multiples of 9, I'm going to use purple here. I got 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 3 is 27. Oops, that doesn't look like a 7. 9 times 4 is 36. 9 times 5 is 45. 9 times 6 is 54. And 9 times 7 is 63. And I'm going to stop there. Yes. So my number that I'm trying to get the closest to is 58. 58 is right here. So which number gets me the closest? 54. What time, what? 9 times what equals 54? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 9 times 6 equals 54. So I'm going to put my 6 on top. And now I'm going to multiply to the top. And 6 times 9 is 54. And now I'm going to subtract. I put it on the top, multiply it on the top, subtract. When I subtract, 58 minus 54 is 4. Now I am ready to label. I am ready to label my parts yet again. And I thought I kept this on there, but apparently I didn't. This is my whole number. This is and excuse the noise, they're fixing my roof. So that's the noise that you probably hear in the background. This 4 is my numerator. And this 9 is my denominator. So now I am ready to make my new my new mixed number. I'm gonna first start by putting my division bar, so I don't have to do that anymore. And so now I'm gonna just work through my steps. I'm gonna start with my whole number first. My whole number is 6. My numerator is now 4. And my denominator stays the same, which is 9. And my answer is 6 and 4/9. And since 4 and 9 does not share a factor together, this answer is now my final answer. I do not need to reduce. Yes, and we'll do one more, and then you all will be added to do your own work. So here's my last example. Give me 1 second to clear out my board. Keeping all of my labels. Oops, I just erased one. I have to go back and rewrite that. Almost done. Sorry, scholars, parents. Awesome. So now my last example for you all, so then you all will be released to try your own work, is 18 11ths. 18 11ths. 18 is my numerator. 11 is my denominator. So I'm going to write that inside of my division house. My denominator goes on the outside. My numerator goes where? On the inside. You got it. So now I'm ready to try to divide. I know that 11 does not go into 18 evenly, so I have to divide. But in order to divide, remember I'm going to follow my song steps. I divide, put it on the top, multiply on the top, subtract. And that's all I'm going to do, just those 3 things. But what do I put on the top? I do not know yet. I need to list out my multiples of 11. If you know your multiplication facts, go on with it and you can just put it there. But if you don't, it's okay. Just simply write them out. I'm just going to list out, I'm not going to write the equation. Again, I'm just going to write out my multiples. But if for your sake, please write out the equation so you will know. 11 times 1 is 11. And 11 times 2 is 22. And I'm going to stop there. I know that 18 is here, right? So which number gets me the closest to 18 without going over? 11. And how many times and what time what? 11 times what equals 11? Just 1. Just 1. So I'll put it on the top. Now I need to multiply to the top. 11 times 1 times 11 equals 11. And now I'm going to subtract. I'm going to subtract. When I subtract, 18 minus 11 is 9. And that's it. That's my last step. Now I am ready to make my mixed number. Remember, a mixed number consists of 2 things. The first thing is, tell your parents the first thing that it consists of. Right. Parents, if they said a whole number, clap it up for them. If they said a whole number, clap it up for them. Beautiful. What is the second thing that a mixed number consists of? Go ahead and tell your parents. Parents, if they said a proper fraction, clap it up again. If they said a proper fraction, clap it up again. You go, boy, and you go, girl. You all are getting this. I wish we can do this physically. It would be so much more exciting. But we're ready to make our new mixed number. So let's go ahead and make it. My whole number is 1. I'm going to make my fraction bar. My numerator is 9. And my denominator is 11. And since 9 and 11 does not share any factors together, this answer is now my final answer. It does not need to be simplified. So my answer is 1 and 9/11. Cool. I'm going to clear my screen. So now, parents and scholars, you have had a quick review lesson on how to convert an improper fraction to a mixed number. So go ahead and give your homework a try. Remember, you must show your work for every single problem on the worksheet. Showing your work is going to help you remember these steps. And it's also going to show your parents that you can do independent work. Parents, if your scholar has any questions, please allow them to rewatch this video as many times as they need to, or you can physically give me a phone call. I am available any time of the day to help all of my scholars. So until then, scholars and parents, stay safe, complete your homework. Remember this homework assignment, converting improper fraction to mixed numbers. It's going to be on Class Dojo. You can complete it and submit a completed picture of your work. Make sure your work is shown. You can submit that to Class Dojo or take a picture of it and send it to my email. Again, I still want to see your work. Remember, this work is also due by Monday, April 21st. Monday, April 21st, 2020 by 11 o'clock a.m. Until then, scholars, have a good day. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe, parents, and let me know if you need anything else. Thanks. Bye.